Hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nova, and today we're going to be going in depth with the Way of the Wraith, the brand new Nightstalker subclass for the Hunter. So, starting off with the subclass, obviously it has some pretty nice aesthetics in its little introduction screen here. I'm pretty liking it pretty much. It's pretty dope blades. But let's just crack this thing open and get right into it. So starting off, we have spectral blades. Summon a pair of deadly void blades and stalk the battlefield in a veil of shadows. Now, what this does not tell you is that when you activate the super and you're in the veil of shadows, which is pressing R2 to go into stealth, you automatically gain true sight. You can see anybody through walls, and the radius that you can see them from is actually extended from normal true sight. I believe true sight grants you like a 20-meter radius to be able to see people through walls. Flawless Executioner also grants that too, by the way. But Spectral Blades extends that range by, I believe, an extra 8 meters, I want to say. I have to test it again, but I'm pretty sure it's by an extra 8 meters. So for a 28-meter radius to be able to see anybody through walls while in your super is huge, and it's really nice because it's not overpowered in a way to where you can fly through the walls, but being able to see them and get to the targets immediately is really nice. So you can press R3 to perform a quick melee attack, and then press R2 obviously to perform a heavy attack and vanish from sight. Now, the only reason you would want to actually use the heavy attack to vanish from sight and actually gain true sight is if you wiped everybody in front of you and you need to find out where the next person is before your super runs out, or if you happen to pop your super, you needed to take somebody out immediately, and yet again you need to heavy attack to get into stealth so that you can hurry up and get to the next group of people or ads. Now moving on, we have Corrosive Smoke. Throw a smoke bomb from a distance with this melee ability. The smoke bomb slows enemies and damages them over time. Now this is basically a return from Destiny 1 where your smoke grenade would deal damage and slow the enemies, also getting rid of the radar. That doesn't tell you that, but it does disable the enemy radar. As long as they are in the smoke, not only do they have poor field of vision, but they do not gain the ability to use their radar. They take damage and they are slowed. Now this is actually really useful in PvP, especially if you're running a shotgun build. You can basically smoke out anybody and just completely run them over because they don't know where you're coming from, and it's pretty hard to hit people. Now, just right under that, we have Flawless Execution. While crouched, precision kills grant invisibility, true sight, and increased melee range, and this is basically the bread and butter paired up with Shattering Strike. After performing a Flawless Execution, your melee attacks weaken enemies. So, to paint a picture for you, let's say you're in PvP and you snipe somebody while crouched. So now you're invisible and you can see through walls. Not only do you have the ability to pick off the next person because you know exactly where they're coming from, but if you decide to run in and shotgun them, you can actually completely just nuke them with your melee instead. If you are running Sealed Ahamkar Grasp, by the way, which you can see me rocking right here, there is a very nasty melee build with the Nightstalker that most people haven't caught on to yet. I'm actually pretty surprised about it, but from what I hear, most people are completely garbage holing this trash can thing, is what they like to call it. They love to call it the trash can super. I don't understand why. I do understand that the super has some very terrible hit detection issues, and actually now that I say that, I can kind of understand why, because you don't want a super which you basically put all your time and effort into getting to have terrible hit detection issues when the main thing is for it to for it to have the hits. So anyway, back to this build. I like to call it the Slashing Nightstalker. The reason why is because this is a very heavy melee focused build. So the main weapon is not your auto, it's not your heavy, it's the Ikelos. Now the reason why I say that is because there are a bunch of things going on with this. Once you get a precision kill while crouched, you gain true sight and you also gain increased melee range, with the addition of if you melee something while you are invisible, you gain the ability to have everybody that's aiming at that target dealing 50% more damage. So here's where it gets really good. This is why the Way of the Wraith has got to be 10 times better than Titans running Melting Point. I can reapply that buff to as many targets as I want to, and within the amount of time that I choose it. Not only that, but I determine when I want to actually take damage from the boss in terms of them having a melee attack or some type of firing mechanic when you get too close to them. Now, the reason why I'm rocking Sealed Ahamkar Grasp is because it pairs really well with the Ikelos and the melee mechanic that needs to happen in order for you to actually take advantage of the Shattering Strike. So here's the picture that I'm going to paint for you, and later in the video there will be a clip that you will see just basically demonstrating how you would like to use this build. So what they also do not tell you about Shattering Strike is that although the target takes 50% more damage, it also suppresses that target. Now on red bars, this is complete garbage. If you melee a red bar while Shattering Strike is active, you're killing them no matter what. However, on majors, this is where it gets really good. Whereas you would have a Titan melting point of major so you could melt him, he's still going to have the melee mechanic. He's still going to be able to shoot back at you. And on top of all of that, you cannot apply it endlessly like you want to unless there's either a second target there or Brawler is on wherever the if you're doing a strike or a heroic mission. Now, with this, once I get that precision kill while I'm crouched for the next 10 seconds, actually it's 12 seconds if you're running the Graviton Forfeit, which is right here by the way, it grants you improved invisibility, I can apply the Shattering Strike to as many targets as I want, and I can suppress all of them. So, in the vault, which is located in the Last Wish raid, I know most of you have encountered that encounter, and I know most of you have had some very irritating wipes because of the Might of Riven. Here's something that I will tell you. If you get a precision hit while using Way of the Wraith on the Thrall, and you melee your knight, you can suppress that knight, which means he cannot touch that plate for the next 8 seconds. So for the next 8 seconds, your entire team is granted 50% extra damage against him, in addition to the 33% extra that you get from activating Trench Barrel. Not to mention that he's suppressed, so you basically delay the wipe mechanic. This has got to be the most OP thing I have ever seen in a raid, because being able to stop a wipe mechanic at will is huge. If your team member doesn't make it from, let's say, Spire to Temple in enough time to cleanse his plate before the knight gets there because he got held up or something, you can by yourself delay the wipe mechanic with the knights by suppressing all of them until everybody's ready to take them out. It's huge. It doesn't matter if he kneeled into the plate. It doesn't matter if he kneeled into the plate and is at 4 seconds. As long as you melee him with Shattering Strike, it will immediately delay the wipe mechanic for the next 8 seconds. Now, here is what the synergy is all about. It is about the Ikelos shotgun and the Sealed Ahamkar Grasps. This has got to be the most highly underrated exotic I have ever seen, because melee hits reloading the equipped weapon when it has something like this on there, which is Trench Barrel, is huge, because that means that you are single-handedly boosting your DPS per second. Let's say you were hitting 30k DPS per second, but because you had to reload every single time you lost all 8 of your shots, you basically had 2 to 3 seconds without being able to fire. With the Sealed Ahamkar Grasp, I'm able to activate Trench Barrel, reload my weapon, let go of the 8 rounds, melee him again to activate Trench Barrel, because obviously you need to melee to activate your Trench Barrel, but at the same time I'm reloading the shotgun, so I can just immediately start firing again, which is huge. That's a huge DPS increase. That means more rounds pumped into whatever you're shooting at, which means more DPS, which means a faster time to kill. Now, what I'm going to do is drop a clip right here at the end, showing you how you want to use the synergy. I will also be commentating over that, and I will also play a clip at the end showing you a little hint into the next video that I'm going to be dropping, which is going in depth with the way of the new Arc Strider subclass for the Hunter. Thanks for your time today, guys, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Alright, so now that we're here at the Lost Sector, what we're going to do is basically show you how the synergy works. So, as you can see right here, I'm rocking the Sealed Ahamkar Grasp, which on melee hits reloads the equipped weapon. Now, there's already a build that I went over with the Way of 1,000 Cuts, which basically gives you unlimited reloads for a specific amount of time. But with the Way of the Wraith, this right here pairs a lot better with Flawless Execution and the Ikelos shotgun, and I will explain why right now. So, once we precision hit our good old buddy Alkalite over there, we're gonna take ourselves over to this ogre. Now, what I said earlier about the suppression effect on the flawless execution is very, very important for majors in general, because most majors are gonna fire at you, or they have some specific melee mechanic the second that they decide that you're in just, well enough proximity. Now, while you are invisible, you can actually sneak up on the enemy. Once you hit them with the melee, you also debuff them, reload any equipped weapon, which preferably would be your Ikelos, and you also suppress them, preventing them from doing the melee mechanic or shooting back at you. Now, the best part about this is the fact that I can reapply the flawless execution buff immediately, and at the same time reload my shotgun and reactivate trench barrel. So what we're gonna do right here is kill old Jim Bob here. Come here, buddy. Let me have a conversation with you. Alright, now you can see our good old ogre here. Now we're gonna shoot out half our magazine here and melee. Now he's just suppressed. Reapply that, and now we can just kill him. Now when I run out of ammo here, I just melee him again. There you go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now this is honestly my favorite thing to do in the game to majors, especially in the raid where you come up against Eye of Rivens, or you just happen to run into the Knights at the Vault. You can actually suppress the Knights in the Vault if you get a precision kill on one of the thralls before you actually melee the Might of Riven. Now, this is probably the best setup for melee-based DPS. Yes, you can easily hop on a Titan and melting point whatever you want to, allowing your entire team to take damage. But the problem with melting point is that you have to have a melee charge, you need to get a running start, and on top of that, you don't get to reapply it immediately unless there's a second Titan there. With flawless execution, all I have to do is crouch and shoot something in the head. The second it dies, I go invisible, which already gives me a superior advantage over melting point, because I don't have to take damage from the melee attack that the major or the boss has until I apply the buff. I control when I take the damage. Not only that, but I can reapply it multiple times on multiple different targets. So let's say we get into a scenario in the vault where there are 3 Might of Rivens and they're in close proximity. Well, instead of us just saying, hey, melting point them, I can sit here and go suppress all 3 of them, because if you melting point them, they still have the opportunity to sit here and kneel down onto your platform and completely ruin the entire scenario for you by causing you to wipe and reset. However, if I suppress all 3 of them with the flawless execution debuff, not only do they take 50% more damage, but they cannot actually go and wipe you from the plates. They're suppressed for the next 8 seconds. So for 8 seconds, which is literally all it takes to wipe them, you just get a free wipe. I mean, you get the free... That's it. You just get to freely run them over. So, in my opinion, flawless execution, depending on the situation, is 10 times better than melting point. The only time melting point is ever going to be better than flawless execution is when there are no enemies around to kill to proc the flawless execution. In every other instance, flawless execution completely outweighs melting point. That's just the thing. The only reason why people would say melting point is better is because it's ease of use by being able to sprint and apply it in a quick instance. Now, that was the slashing nightstalker. That's the nickname I'm giving it until something better comes along. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to sub. I will be dropping another video on Way of the Current and all the things that it can deflect in the game. And by the way, just as a little hint, if you use the Way of the Current, which is the new Arc Strider subclass, and you are deflecting supers in PvP, yes, you can deflect Blade Barrage, and yes, you can deflect Dawn Blade. And it will automatically target the person that you're aiming at, causing them to die automatically. I will put in a clip of that happening at the end of the video. Like I said, guys, thanks for all the support. Thanks for finally allowing me to hit 100 subscribers. This is a great moment of passing in my YouTube career. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care.